Hi everybody, welcome to the Open Love Party meeting, Love Movement meeting nowadays. We're just going to start with a very quick reading from Louise Hayes. You Can Heal Your Life, because she just has some lovely wisdom in there. So she has throughout the book various affirmations, and this one is the one I'm choosing today. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole and complete. Each one of us, myself included, experiences the richness and fullness of life in ways that are meaningful to us. I now look at the past with love and choose to learn from my old experiences. There is no right or wrong, nor good nor bad. The past is over and done. There is only the experience of the moment. I love myself for bringing myself through this past into this present moment. I share what and who I am, for I know we are all one in spirit. All is well in my world. So yes, hello everyone. It's just a reminder there that we're all one and all spirit, and the past is gone. So today I'd like to talk first of all about there's a few things. There's the physical meeting on the 30th for those who can make it. So is everyone here? I know Roger can't, so I know Roger's already let me know that he can't. Is everyone else wanting to come? Rachel is. Joe, you can't make it? No. Okay. Simon, do you think you'd be able to get there? I know it's a bit far, but I do have a facility for sleeping and washing and everything, so I can possibly have people staying with me. I've got one coming from Dorset, I think. Carrie's coming, isn't she? From Dorset, which is nice. So yes, we're starting off. We're going to start off in the village hall and then come over to mine, have some lunch, and then perhaps do the business stuff. So the morning, my plan is to get us into a good space. Rachel's doing some cacao, which is brilliant. We've got a gong bath, which I don't know whether you've had them before, but it is lovely. Simon, I don't think was able to unmute there, Rachel.
Oh, sorry. Yes, just to say, if anyone wants to speak, maybe put your hand up, and then we know.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to come, Lynn, but I've got care responsibilities. It's really
right. Fair enough. No, it's okay. I realise that it's a long way for people. So I mean, maybe we can Zoom a bit in the afternoon, so that Roger and Simon, I don't know whether you'd be able to join us in the afternoon, would you? Yeah, potentially. So we could set Zoom up in the background maybe and have a bit of discussion there. It is harder to run with Zoom because, like you say, we have to manage the people coming in on the conversation, but maybe we can make that happen. Yes, Roger.
I've asked you to unmute, Roger.
You need to, yeah.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know again that I'm distributing these leaflets which explain about trial by jury, which is very, very relevant in these days, because you all know about the energy bill that's going through the Commons and the Lords at the moment. I'm sure you all know about that. We're in a full-blown tyranny, and the only way we're going to get out of it is by trial by jury. Well, I'm saying the only way. That's one.
It's a good way. It's a good way. Yeah. And so these leaflets were one of the things that was on my list because I have received some. Thank you, Roger. So I'm distributing them to. I'm trying to select people who are influencers in my area rather than because I've got 30 something leaflets. So if I can't give them to every house, which is a shame, I might try and get some more off you there, Roger. But for now, I've got these 30 that I want to sort of get out to leaders of Stand in the Park and things like that.
Yeah, I did send 50.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh well, I've got 30. You didn't send? Did you send them in 2 packets by any chance?
No, I didn't.
Oh, right. I don't know what's happened there then. Now I have a letter for the love party that has not got postage on. So I need to ask who that is and see if it's worth me getting that delivered, because Obviously, if it's just some advert, I don't really want it. I'm not really
No,
bothered about
no.
it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got
Anyway,
I got one.
I can send another 50, but I do, and you have paid. I mean, Rachel has paid £10.
I will pay, Roger. Don't worry. I've also, I think one of my stand in the park, I've given it to them on the WhatsApp group, and I think they've already asked where they can get them, they said buy, so presumably they're happy to pay as well. So yeah, we can get that out there, and it's a good thing to have. And I think we can put maybe we can put that link, the democracydefined.org as one of our sort of recommended links to go through. That would be quite nice to have on the website as well.
Well, but contacting them won't get the leaflets. You can only get the leaflets from me.
Okay.
And I put my address on the chat.
All right.
And I'll put my email.
I will pass that on then as well, because the address that it sends you to is Democracy Defined on the leaflet. So I'll have to.
But that's just for additional information.
Okay.
That's not for acquiring the leaflet. To acquire the leaflet, you've got to send £10 to me on the address that I have put on the chat.
Okay.
If by any chance the leaflets don't arrive, then I'll stand the loss.
Okay.
I just need to. If they don't arrive within 2 weeks, then the buyer has got to send me an email with their address, explaining to me that they haven't received the leaflets, and I'll send 50 more, even though it's going to cost me, the postage and packing.
Okay.
I'll stand the cost of it.
Okay, thank you. Hello, people who are just joined us. Hello, iPad. Oh dear.
I'm just checking the meeting invite, and it was the right ID for this meeting, Julie. So I don't know where there was a wrong one.
Was it on Telegram? Because the meeting ID I used was through email, and that was obviously correct. So if we can just so we've got the physical meeting. If you can get to that, that'd be wonderful. It would be lovely to see you. I do need to know numbers, because I will open up the gong bath at least to the stand in the park people. Because I've got a village hall, we might as well use it and see. And if they a lot of them haven't tried it, which I find astonishing actually, that people in our movement haven't been doing these things, but they haven't. So it's a really good way of getting them to start thinking about the step of raising the vibration. And a gong bath is often quite an acceptable thing. They might not be able to do the energy work, but they can enjoy the sort of meditative feeling of a gong bath, and perhaps feel a little bit higher vibe then, and start to think about what they do for their own lives. And then we've got Roger's leaflets, which is brilliant. Trial by jury. I've got mine, and I shall be distributing them. So if anyone else wants them, they have to write to Roger. Roger's put it in the chat, I think. He says.
Yes, I am.
On here, on the meeting chat.
Yes, I've put my.
Okay, I can't see it yet, but because the chat unfortunately moves down, doesn't it? So
I just reposted it.
Thank you.
It won't show for any new people who come on the meeting. So
okay.
we have to, if new people join, we have to add it to the chat, because they won't see the history.
Okay. So I'll come to Rachel in just a sec. She's got her hand up. But
you want me to say anything about not being able to join? Because I went to the email that I got that said today's meeting for the members, and that's the one that wouldn't let me join. But then I went on to the one that I'd received previously for the beacons, and it's let me join through that way. So I don't know what's happening.
It is the right number, though. It is the right. This meeting is the number in the email that I just checked, but maybe the link was broken. I don't know.
Well, no, I've checked.
Yeah,
both the numbers are different. Both the numbers are different. So the one that it's let me join through wasn't the one that but I don't know.
Right.
No,
Well, no
it's-
one's
I just-
contacted me, Rach. No one's contacted us on the beacons, as far as I can see, or on anything else. So if we just assume
Yeah.
this is it for now, because you know, we can't really worry about that sort of thing now. I know Zoom has been a little bit strange with me recently. It's been demanding updates every time I go on and things like that. But this time was dead easy, went straight through. So let's just assume that the people who aren't here are not here by choice for now, unless they message us, which they haven't.
Okay.
So yeah, the other thing I was wondering about is probably something that we'll discuss at the physical meeting in more depth, and that is the idea about starting to get some information out there. And it's funny, but it's coming to me at night, which is making me think a bit. And I sort of have been getting that the first phase of leaflets should have some what I would call negative campaigning, which I'm a bit astonished it's coming to me, really. But just sort of, your MP voted for these measures, you know, to have you imprisoned, to have you fined £15,000 if you live in a drafty house, to have you, just things like that, just spell out what they voted for. They voted to lock you in your home. They voted to try experimental injections on you without any due diligence, and just have some things like that. And then the next phase is something about a series of 4, what liberation looks like, how, you know, which bills do we need to get rid of to liberate. So the energy bill is an obvious one. Liberation looks like being able to do this, not having this imposed on you, being able to educate your own children, being able to look after your finances without having to worry about being repossessed and have your mortgage foreclosed, or something like, just things like that. And then opportunity. Oh, so many things, isn't there? Opportunities to grow our own food, start our own health, start our own, you know, to educate your kids again, opportunities to invest and to be able to actually thrive, opportunities to look after your own water, and then vitality. Oh, so many health things, I can't even go there. But and then empowerment, a similar sort of thing, and just sort of have this series going on. And I know it costs money, and I've got some, so I can put some in. So if we start a sort of phased campaign, just where we're standing, really, where we're choosing to stand. So that's the next. That was what was coming to me. So obviously it's a debate opener, a starter for 10. Feel free to rip it to bits, put your own ideas in. But I sort of thought it was under the headings of liberation, opportunity, vitality, and empowerment. Bit of negative stuff about the shit show that is in power at the minute, and then you know, what our world looks like, actually spelling out what it looks like, because this is pragmatic stuff. This is not airy fairy, oh, wouldn't it be nice if. We know how to do this. This has been done before. We've got everything we need. So that was the next phase. That was the next thing that I was thinking about. Hello, Carrie. See Carrie joining us there. Okay, Rachel, let's go to you.
Hi, Lynn. Thanks for the intro. I just wanted to slightly take issue a little bit with what with the spelling that Roger just cast, where he said the only way is trial by jury. And I agree, it's a powerful way that is the absolute backstop to stop all totalitarian fascist dictator governments. However, there is another way, and that is for the people to take back the power. Now, it's really interesting because I tend to be the person who looks at all the inbox emails and responds on the Love Party CRM in the little online in the cloud database that we have. And it's quite interesting to notice some of the things that people say. And we did get an email, and I forget from who. Someone said, oh, I joined and I expected you to be growing, and I expected this and I expected that, and why isn't it taking off, and why isn't it bigger, and it's not big enough. And it was quite an interesting thing about faith, actually. And the thing I just wanted to mention is that when this is pure metaphysics now, is that when you set an intention and you vision something happening, for example, visioning the people taking back the power, visioning independent candidates standing in every constituency on behalf of the people and flooding the Houses of Parliament, and sweeping away the old two-party system. If we vision that really strongly and really powerfully, and I'm sure that we will be doing some of that visioning on Saturday when we meet, because when we meet in person, it's super powerful to create that torus field. And it doesn't actually take many people to create a very potent torus field of energy to put that pebble in the cosmic pond, so to speak. Now, the thing about manifestation and intention setting and vision setting is you don't need to know how it's going to happen. And actually, you don't even need to necessarily do anything to make it happen. Visioning and intention setting is extremely powerful. So I'm not saying let's not do anything, because we're obviously all wanting to take our individual actions. And I totally agree with you, Lynn. Personally, I think it's appalling what our local MP, Sarah Dines, diehard Conservative, has voted for on behalf of the people. It's not on behalf of the people, it's on behalf of big corporate interests that are just being bulldozed through now. And I totally agree that it would be very good to do a pattern interrupt to wake people up to the outrages. And so I totally agree with these 3D steps. But I also want to say, don't underestimate the power of metaphysical work and intention setting, because I know from experience that it is super powerful to manifest things and things that you just like can't even work out in your tiny mind how it's possibly going to happen. But it's visioning and intention setting and pouring energy and keeping focused on that goal is supremely powerful. So I just wanted to mention that, and I'll mute myself back.
It totally is, we will do a bit of that. I mean, you know, you, Julie, me, we've all done this sort of work, and it is about you know, stating what you want and then getting out of the way, actually, you know, trusting that this will happen. And that's not to say you don't do anything. What it is to say is that the action that you take will then be inspired from source, from the universe. So like you'll be lying in bed going, oh, I must do this, and it's something that feels like you really, oh yes, that's what we've got to do, we'll go and do it, rather than sort of sitting down and writing out your aims and objectives, blah, 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 blah. You know, the 3D process of make your, you know, aims smart and all this sort of thing. So you put it in, you put it out there, and then you get out of the way, and that means not sitting there going, oh, but how? Oh my God, but nobody's ever done it before. But this, but that. You just, you know, you let go of those. If you feel those coming in, it's like, I'm ready to release this doubt I have about XYZ. I release it from my energy in all forms or levels and at all points in time, and you repeat that 3 times, and it just, you can get away all the negativity and just leave a clear channel for it to come in.
Yeah, because just to say, Lynn, on just that point, because cynicism is a contraction. So anytime you go into doubt and cynicism, it's like you're closing the flow. It's like a kink in the hose pipe. So anytime going into cynicism, doubt, negativity, it's just like, no, switch to faith,
Absolutely.
trust in the universe, keep visioning what you do want, ignore everything else, just keep visioning, keep focusing on this future, because all over the planet, people are visioning this in now in all its forms, not just politically, in all its forms, whether it's health, whether it's education, all its forms, all over the planet. This is happening massively. There's a massive wave of evolutionary energy sweeping across the entire planet, and it's not going to stop. And so it will only go as fast as the drag speed of our negativity, so to speak. So cynicism slows it. Faith and optimism allows it to flow fast, like a fast flowing river that hasn't got a dam in the way. Right.
And
I
this is
will. I
not
really
hippie.
will shut up now.
No, I just want to reinforce it actually that this is not just, you know, woo-woo hippie shit type stuff. This is measurable. This has been measured by the Heart Math Institute over quite a few decades now, that when you go into the lower emotions such as cynicism and fear, the energy field contracts. Yeah. And it also becomes incoherent. Whereas when you expand into love and happiness, peace, when you start having those feelings, the energy field expands way, way, way beyond you. It's measurable, it's been measured, and it becomes a lovely, coherent flow. So yeah, and Joe Dispenza has also done work, and when he sees this happening, he finds that not just, whereas most of us are sort of sat there with little bits of our brain operating as we are at the moment, a few, you know, little patches lighting up, probably frontal lobe at the minute because we're talking, but when you go into these higher states, and especially when you go into a healing, spontaneous healing, the whole brain lights up. Okay, we've been told that we only use so much of our brain, the rest of it's just superfluous, we don't need it. Absolute nonsense. A lot of it's been shut down over many, many centuries and is continuing to be shut down. Things like vapes, you know, various electromagnetic smogs, all the sort of things that you know about, McDonald's and, you know, rap music, I don't know, things that, or anything that lowers the energy, it's shutting down bits of the brain, and we're kept in a very small bit of the brain, which is probably why we can't build pyramids and things anymore. We have to just stick with glass and metal. But when we raise our energy and we get into the higher states, we use so much of the brain, which is why we can come up with solutions that we never would have thought of. So it's really, really important. It's our individual work, and it's just so important, because by doing this, you know, it's not about, you know, having control over people or anything sinister, but you are just a lot more powerful than hundreds of other people, maybe thousands. I mean, David Hawkins said you're more powerful than a million people. One person in alignment is more powerful than a million who are not. So it's very, very important to do this. It means we don't need huge numbers. We just need to be in a good place. We keep ourselves in a good place. What an easy revolution. How easy is it? You know,
Yeah,
we haven't got to get pitchforks, we haven't got to get cannons, we haven't got to sacrifice ourselves. We've just got to make ourselves happy and brilliant. And it means we can come up with great solutions, like, you know, Roger will be inspired to come up with trial by jury leaflets that can go out to everyone and inform people. And, you know, and William Keat, who helped you do it, I think, didn't he, Roger? Did he help you do that?
Well, he did help in actually formulating a different leaflet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
He
this
will
one,
also say you need to stay high to enforce the Constitution, because an unconscious population can't do it. They just don't even realise that it's not being upheld. Sorry, go on.
no, I just wanted to tell you, Lynn, we can't see your beautiful face because the light is coming from behind you. We need to have the light shining on your face.
I don't think you do, but there you go.
Well, anyway, maybe it's not easy for you to do it right now, but
And now you'll see that I'm not. Oh no.
yeah, bear it in mind for next meeting.
I just like sitting in front of the window, Roger, with the window open. And,
Okay, I'm only making you aware of it. That's all right.
But I mean, I'm sure you can see enough.
Well, we can hear you. That's the main
Thing is, by having the light on, it saves me putting on Zoom. You know that there's a thing on Zoom that says enhance your appearance.
All right, okay. Anyway,
I don't need to do that if it's all, you know, if you can't see me.
no.
So
No, I agree with Roger on this, and it is so nice now that you've just moved. We can see your face much easier. So thank you, Roger. Yeah.
Okay. I'm being a picky, but I do agree it is nice to see who you're talking to. I will accept that one. Take that one on the chin.
By the way, I've changed the settings so everyone can unmute themselves now, just so you know.
Cool. Right. So does anyone have anything else to say? I've waffled on a bit. Me and Rachel have ranted about how important it is to stay high vibe and what we can do when we are, and how we will need to be intention setting. Does anyone else have something to add about that?
I think Simon had got some discussion that we were going to have today. I don't know if we're having it later.
Oh, and we've got Joanne as well. But Simon first, maybe.
I don't know if you plan to reconvene tomorrow or whenever suits people. I am working on something. But just going back to this conversation about prospective MPs, I'd make it far more inclusive and inviting.
Okay.
Lynn, you mentioned, did your MP vote for an experimental drug? You're immediately identifying huge numbers of people that bought into all that bullshit that will dismiss us.
Mm.
So I put something out that's saying, describe your perfect MP. Do you know somebody who fits that profile? Let's all vote for that person. Or something like that, to get people to start thinking about, you don't have to submit to this prescriptive system that makes you think that it's a wasted vote if you don't vote for one of the main parties. We can vote for whoever we want if that person stands. Who would you like to see on the ballot and why?
Yeah, I think that sounds like MP recruitment. I was sort of thinking of just like a household leaflet drop for people who are very unaware. Who you're probably right about the experimental drug. That was just off the top of my head, but it probably does immediately.
But anything you mentioned, you're conveying your thoughts. Whereas
Yeah.
I think we need something that invites people.
But there are things that people are not aware. I mean, Paul, for example, is he works for a company that deals with energy, selling it, not just and renewables and generating it and everything about it. And I was at the dinner with them on Saturday. They have a very posh dinner at Park Lane. And I was talking to them, and these people are at the top of the game. They're even very high up in the firm, pretty much at the top. And when I mentioned about the energy bill, not a clue. Never heard, had no idea that it had been voted through. Would have assumed that they hadn't, that it wouldn't go through. Was like, what? You can imprison people for having a drafty house? And they're really very, very unaware. So I think, maybe 5 points that, your MP voted for that, and that. Just total tyranny. I don't think anybody, even the well-heeled, very comfortable people around, the villagers or anything like that, if they knew that they could face being put in prison because they got a drafty house, you've got they really don't think that. They really don't think the Tories would bring that in because they vote Tory and they've always voted Tory. And yes, it's not quite as good as when Margaret Thatcher was in, but it's you know what I mean. They do not know. They do not know. And there's quite a few bills like that where they just threatening people's pets is another one that's people are completely unaware that this is in the background. They haven't done it yet, but all sorts of things that they already have done that people are not aware of, and it need only be a few points. But
I think Carrie had got something she wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm getting there, Julie. Just trying to answer Simon. So yes, I think recruitment wise, Simon's you're probably absolutely right, as in trying to get an MP in every constituency. What would your perfect MP look like is a great question. And I was thinking more of a sort of pre-election campaign leaflet, really. Anyway.
I think it does start with recruitment.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Getting people to think about, it doesn't have to be the way you think it.
Well, you know what? We've got 2 constituencies. We could try both strategies, and we could do an experiment and see what works. But I think that I'm not saying it might mean that we just change the order around. I don't know, but let's start experimenting with it. We've got to, have that facility now. Sorry, Joanne. I need you to unmute, Joanne. Can't hear you.
That's it. Excuse the lighting, it's not going to change. But that's fine. I mean, I'd rather be like this. I just wanted to say all the manifestation and what you was just saying, and also Rachel saying it, and obviously Julie's of that mind. It's all very new to me, but I kind of always have had that kind of feeling that we are very powerful in each one of us. And I just wanted to say, absolutely what you both said. I'm totally agree with. And it gives me a lot of positivity hearing that, because I've always thought that and I've always felt it, I think, deep down. And it's absolutely, we have the power, and all the absolute BS, I should say, with all the energy bill thing. It's all just a load of hype. And to be honest with you, I don't know the whole details of it, and I'd love to find out. But they're fearing, they're coming to us now, trying to scare us, because they couldn't scare us with the vaccine. This is just obviously my thoughts. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. They're trying to give us a fear to lower our immune system, I guess, but couldn't do it with the vaccine. So they're trying to do it mentally. It's just a theory. I could be completely off, but I think we've got to be very careful not to get into the fear, which we don't. But a lot of it, I think, is absolute fear mongering, because I don't know how the idiots could do anything like that anyhow, but that's another story. But just to say, absolutely manifesting, and the power is with us. Yes. And I really want to sit as an independent whenever it happens, but I know I'm going to have trouble.
Brilliant.
I'm not sure.
I know, you do it. That we can't, you need people out there to do it.
I'll have to have help. Someone has to give me tips of
we all need help.
And
do this on our own.
I will. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's by focusing on things like the energy bill, you are sort of in a way perpetuating it, but it's sort of so it really is important to look at the alternative. Really important to mention, I don't know, my alternative is getting off grid. For other people, it's standing strong, insisting on trial by jury, just saying no. I mean, they are in this bill. It does look to me like they are very much resorting to criminal acts, entering people's property, possibly.
So where is it? I'm being a bit naive here. Where can I find it? I know it sounds crazy, but where can I find the whole thing? Is it?
The easiest thing is probably just to go to the petition that's currently circulating, that's on parts, and then take the links from there.
Okay.
So, they're sort of irrelevant. The whole energy bill, everything is sort of irrelevant because it's so unlawful, and this system is finished, and all the rest of it. But we're trying to cushion it on the way down, aren't we? Trying to make sure that we don't go, that people don't hurt too badly with the fall of the old system. And that mostly is about getting ourselves in a good place and having new systems in place, and making sure things don't go the pendulum doesn't swing so far that it's very difficult to get people back. So in some ways irrelevant, but in other ways pattern interrupting, and also using it as an opportunity to make people aware that there is a different way of doing things. This way is clearly the very wrong way. So I don't see how you can even, I don't think anyone can question that, really. It's going to take a real devotee to say that's a good idea. But anyway, right, Rachel.
I think Carrie wanted to speak. She had her hand up, although it was a physical hand, not a emoji hand.
Yes.
So
hello, Carrie.
Let's go to Carrie first.
Unmute first. Can't hear you, Carrie. We've got this again. We have this sometimes with you, don't we, with the Zoom thing? Might have to go out and come in. Just try it again. Just try unmuting and muting. No. Okay.
She is unmuted, but just obviously not connected to an audio microphone.
That might be a thing, actually. Carrie, I don't know whether you've looked in where the little microphone is. It might be worth selecting a microphone and making sure that you've got the right one. So if you click on that mute arrow, where down at the bottom there's a little microphone, it says mute, and then there's a little arrow, and you should be able to make sure there's a microphone selected if you press that arrow. So maybe that's something you could do. If not, then there's test speaker and microphone, and you could perhaps see which speaker you're on. So I choose the same as the system myself, unless you've got something plugged in. You haven't got headphones plugged in, have you? No. Okay. Oh.
So this is the Zoom empowerment
So either write in chat, or in previous times we've managed to go out and come back in, and that's worked. You haven't got any other devices, have you? You're not connected to Bluetooth to something? No, nothing like that. Okay, so either type in chat or go out, come back in. In the meantime, I'll go to Rachel.
Okay, yeah, and then if Carrie gets it working, we can go back to her.
Listen,
okay,
yeah.
So I just wanted to touch back in on this thing that Simon said about like, what is the kind of messaging? What's the best messaging to, as far as I can see, the key people to energize are the people who are currently in apathy, who don't bother to vote, who've given up on the system, who don't like politics. That is the kind of 50% that allow the people who do vote for all the main parties just to walk through with an open goal, basically. So the question to me as a marketeer is like, how do you turn on that 50% of the lost electorate that don't bother, that are in apathy, basically? And I just wanted to just mention something, that a theme that repeated over and over and over and over when I first spoke out about what was going on back in September 2020. That was the original Rachel Speaks Out video. And it was just a rant. I was so angry and fed up with the Boris Johnson and the bollocks. I just went and had a 27-minute rant, and that went viral, that video. And so many people wrote to me and came up to me afterwards and over the years since and have said, you put into words what I was feeling and thinking, but I hadn't quite got to express. You expressed it in that video, and it resonated with me, and it was exactly what I was feeling and thinking, but I hadn't quite articulated for myself. And so in that sense, I was like I was like a match which lit the blue touch paper, because so many people afterwards said it was that video with you saying that resonated, that made me realize, oh my God, what was happening. So these communications which we're sending out in our capacity as independent candidates and wanting to engage that lost electorate, I personally feel that it is good to be quite confrontational and provocative, and to speak to some of the things that people are feeling but haven't yet quite articulated. And that's what's going to turn them from being apathetic into action. And usually most action tends to come through anger. And I'm not saying we want angry people, but there is a fire energy, and it's igniting those people to move from apathy and I don't care to fuck it, I'm actually going to do something about it now. This is enough now. And I do believe, from all of the kind of freedom movement work and Stand in the Park, that there are a lot of people who are waking up, who are starting to realize, oh my God, I've been duped. Like friends who've got, like one of my friends, one of their relatives has just suddenly got aggressive cancer, age 32, out of nowhere, obviously jabbed. So I do believe that strong provocative messages, we need something that's going to light the blue touch paper to engage that lost electorate. I feel that. And as you say, Lynn, we have a golden opportunity, because if Simon wants to do that in his constituency, to do a nicey thing, I'm perfectly happy to do quite a ballsy, provocative thing in my constituency, and let's see. I
do think it's
what works.
Experiment, and this is it. I mean, and I will certainly not oppose anyone, and I'll happily, I will put some into the leaflets. I think we do need a leaflet fund, but maybe what you said there, Rachel, just triggered something as well that I had forgotten because I didn't write it down. But maybe it isn't leaflets, maybe it is a little video sequence of liberation, and then another one for opportunity, and another one for vitality, and another one for an empowerment. So one that focuses on, this focuses on how what liberation looks like, with a tiny bit of how it's not happening at the moment because of what the government's doing and because of local authorities and that sort of stuff. So there has to be, I think there has to be a little bit of contrast between us and what's already happening. It's like, this is happening. Your MP is voting for this. Your councillors are bringing in this, and we, you know, all of us together, not we as in love, as in everybody else, we the people can do this. Look how powerful we are. Look what we can do. And it's been before, and it's been, and there's technologies out there that we already know about, and just really, maybe it is a video series that we can do. I mean, Tom, I'm sure would put something together. I think you might know people too.
It's not an either or, it's a both and more and more.
Yeah,
and more.
maybe. Yeah,
all of these different ways to go in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've felt over the summer, I was, you know, sort of let it settle, and I had a very sort of settled, sort yourself out energy, and you know, just basically the last week it started to think like, actually, let's get some stuff going. So let's get some, maybe it's you know, this new moon this full moon that's going to come up is going to be a big one, and maybe it's sort of building towards that. I don't know, but it was definitely, it started to trigger me at night, and not trigger, it started to sort of give me a little prod at night.
Just to mention, the equinox is a supremely powerful pivot point. So the 23rd of September is the autumn equinox, happening on Saturday, which is, I'm sure, why Joe Dispenza has organised his Walk the World on that day. And I know Simon's got his hand up, but I just wanted to mention this because I've initiated a Walk the World group in Bakewell, which is on his map now. You can find that. And I set up a Telegram group, and I cannot tell you the level of spam, hacking, louche content that has been posted to try to destroy that group. It is absolutely astonishing. Now, we're talking about a tiny little group. You know, why is it being so heavily targeted? And I believe that the powers that be, the Wetiko behind this, which depends, it feeds off chaos and dissonance. The idea of people all over the world joining in a walking meditation in nature, all aligned, and on an equinox, on that time-space PowerPoint in 3D time-space reality, it is supremely powerful, and it's the kind of thing that kind of resonance, it turns the Wetiko to dust. It's like it's kryptonite, you know. So I feel that this Saturday is particularly powerful, and really would encourage everyone to take part in a Walk the World at 3 p.m. on Saturday UK time. There's ones popping up all over the world. Just to mention it.
I've signed up for it myself, but and I might just end up nipping up to you, Rachel, but I think try and get a little group here.
Yeah, there's bound to be one local.
I'm not quite clear what you have to do.
Yeah, apparently he's done a meditation, which so you all gather at 3 o'clock and you spend an hour or 50 minutes or something walking in nature and doing this meditation, which he's supplied apparently, and I haven't heard it yet.
So just walking around a field or a park or something, or
we're going to go on a circuit round Bakewell on the Monsell Trail.
Okay, right. So yeah, that could work.
Lynn, if you register for it, you'll see an introduction thing, and he's sending out another one ready for the 20th.
Oh, thank you, Julie. Thank you. I'll have a look at that. All right. Okay. So, Carrie, are you able to speak now? Let's try. No, I can't hear you. Oh dear. What can we do? I wonder if you could send. You don't have my number, do you? I was thinking you could send me a voice message I could play to everybody.
Sometimes you can go in on an iPhone as well. If you can't get it on your laptop, you can come in on an iPhone and use the volume in an iPhone. Use the audio in your iPhone or your smartphone if you've got a smartphone. That's another way to do it. Come in on another device, basically. Simon's got his hand up, Lynn.
Yeah. You could try going out and coming back in. It shouldn't take you long, Carrie. If you can try that 30 seconds or so, it might just fix it, because it does sometimes.
Oh, I just got, I just noticed a message has come through from Joe Dispenza to say the Walk for the World meditation is now available. They've just released it and you can download it.
So does everyone listen to it on their headphones then as they're walking? Is that the idea?
You download it. It's free, and I think you download it onto your phone prior to the walk. And I think you'll be I think the idea is to listen to it while you walk.
Yeah, that's the impression I've got. And he's done an introduction, which is only half an hour, just sort of giving you a bit of an outline of you're going to start standing with your eyes closed and really focus on your heart.
Yeah.
And then you do a bit of open your eyes, do a bit of walking. And there's certain bits that you stand where you are and just look at where you are. So it's sort of becoming more conscious, whereas some people with this word meditate, they think they've just got to sit and meditate, and then they don't bother taking it into the rest of their life. But I've seen the one that is actually done ready for us.
It says bring your own electronic device and headset. Sharing is not recommended. So I guess everyone needs to bring their own device and walk together while listening. And it's not ideal, I agree.
Yeah.
But as Julie said, guided meditations are supremely powerful, and when you start out meditating, guided meditations are absolutely the way to get there, because it's much more difficult just to do it on your own, sitting in silence to do meditation. So
yeah, totally.
Trusting in this. Yeah.
DL has said I don't meditate beside my smartphone, but I would say if you could register, and then you'll get the download of what it is, and then you don't even need your phone with you. You just do it in your own time and know that you are on some level connecting with everybody else for those 50 minutes.
I was thinking having my big boom box. Anyway, I think Carrie has tried a different device and can now hopefully speak to us. Speak, Carrie. You need to unmute still. Is she allowed to unmute, Rachel?
Everyone can do their own now. Has she gone?
No, she's on Michael Sagan. She's
oh, sorry.
Perhaps you can unmute her, I don't know.
I've asked her to unmute, but everyone can unmute themselves. Meanwhile, I'm going to put this Joe Dispenza link in the chat.
Okay, lovely. Okay, well, while we wait for Carrie to unmute, Simon?
Yeah, I just wanted to recount a true story about this whole voting thing. My own experience of being involved in politics at all as a town councillor for 6 years. Somebody said to me that I'd make a good councillor for whatever reason. And it was midterm and they were co-opting. I didn't know what that meant. And I went in, there were 3 people turned up. There was another guy there I subsequently got to know. He said, we're wasting my time. They've already selected this 3rd person internally. And that's exactly what happened. And then another vacancy came up. And I said, well, I'm not going to humiliate myself like that. And I discovered that if you get 10 people within a constituency that write to the returning officer and require an election, one has to take place. So I wrote a letter, a standard letter, and I just simply went and I knocked on doors. I said, look, you probably can't be bothered to vote, but how do you feel about being deprived of the right? And most of them agreed they didn't want to vote, but they didn't like the fact that they wouldn't be allowed to vote. And I had 10 letters signed in about half an hour. So I think the message is that, and the message we get is that if we don't vote for one of the main 2 parties, or maybe the Lib Dems, it's a wasted vote. I think our message should be the wasted vote is entirely for those people.
Yeah, totally.
That's the
wasted
wasted
vote. Not just a wasted vote, it's actually a dangerous vote.
Yes, and it's the opposite of an integral part of the love movement, disempowerment. We are allowing them to disempower us through the voting system.
Yeah,
we need to take back control and vote for the person that we want to represent us. And then we all need to work together within a constituency to fight. When I don't, maybe I'd stand, but I'd much rather be involved in finding the person I really think would be I'm sure there's somebody better than me out there from Tewkesbury.
Simon.
I want to be involved in looking for that person. I want to put the message out, genuinely, who do we know that we just be bloody fantastic? We all know these people and they'd never ever think of standing. you know, it's that saying, isn't it? The people who stand are the last people we should have to vote for, or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
And I think
there is that danger, isn't there?
That's the message. If we're talking about empowerment, then how are we disempowered, and how do we empower ourselves?
It's so true. Because I mean, I remember with you know, little bit of campaigning before. I haven't done very much, but just trying to explain to people, they don't want you to vote. They don't care if it's like only 6% turnout, 17% turnout. Don't give a monkeys, as long as you don't turn up and vote for somebody else and vote them out. So they don't want you to vote. They're very happy for you to sit at home thinking you can't do anything, you can't make a difference, you can't, you know, no vote is that you have is going to count. It's not going to be, oh, maybe it's even rigged. That's the other one, isn't it? It's rigged anyway, you know. And so all about making you feel hopeless, powerless, like you can't make a difference, like you can't cause a change. Now that's what they want, and we, you know, have to somehow persuade people that their voice does.
Well,
it's such a cliche, isn't it? Your voice does count. It's
entirely right. It is rigged. That's the truth of the matter.
Well, it is, yeah. However, we do have, you know, we do have a chance to make a stand. We do have a chance to bring the system down a little more gently than it just falling down around our ears, and, you know, actually in a mindful way getting rid of legislation that we don't want, and putting in place systems that we do want. We have a chance to do that mindfully. Will it become a sort of chaotic? Probably, but, you know, maybe we can minimize that a bit. So that's what this election's about, really, isn't it? Sort of seeing if giving people that choice. It's almost that choice, isn't it? Being able to change the system in a peaceful, orderly, mindful, conscious way, or having that change forced upon us is sort of the choice that it comes down to. Not that we can say that to people, because that's just it takes quite. We've been down this rabbit hole for you know, at least 3 years, most of us. So we're thinking in a different way now. Anyway, have we got Carrie yet?
She's there, but she's under Michael Sagan.
Yes, but I was wondering if she could unmute yet.
Don't think she's listening.
I'm asking her to unmute. But
she's trying to mouth something to me, but the Michael Sagan one is not unmuting. So Carrie's like unmuted.
It better be good when she gets on, because we've built her up so much.
She's poor.
Carrie, can you unmute just to see if it does work, whatever you're doing?
If you can unmute the Michael Sagan one.
Or maybe, is that an iPad that you've come in on?
No, she's on Michael Sagan and Carrie. She's here twice. On the, yeah.
Oh,
so you just need to unmute on the Michael Sagan.
Yeah, so Carrie, on the Zoom app in your iPhone, just on the bottom, unmute it.
Or perhaps switch to dial in Wi-Fi, dial in or something. So go to the mute, and then it might muted my. I muted myself then, and then you might be able to select dial in. So
while we're waiting for her to do that, it's really, once we realise historically how long this has been going on, and you're really talking hundreds and hundreds of years, this sort of approach that people weren't allowed to vote before unless they were landowners, and then people that were men were allowed to vote, and then women were allowed to vote. But a lot of people don't even realise that when the women got the vote, that the everyday man wasn't allowed to vote. And so once we really look at the proper history, and then how they've been developing the education system, and I will still call it an education system, but they have been entraining them. And it now guts me that my son went to university and the education system he went through, and it wasn't as adverse of what's happening now. I don't know if you've heard about local things happening like lockdowns in schools, and I know that a local school here, primary school, last Monday, someone came in to talk to their teacher at near dinner time, and the teacher then put down the blinds for the windows, locked the children in the room with her, and they were told there was going to be a thunderstorm and that they weren't allowed out. And they weren't allowed out for the rest of that afternoon either. And then when they came out of school at the end of the day, there was still a police car actually on the premises. And apparently they'd heard what they thought was gunshot happening. Obviously, from what I've gathered, it wasn't gunshot, but they did hear sirens of police and ambulance nearby. And I know there was at least one police car, but from what I can gather, there were others in the area. Supposedly, there was a man with a machete. Okay, and where that man was supposedly with the machete was not really close to the school. And a machete is a sort of knife thing. It's not a gun that's going to be thrown very far. And supposedly, why would you have to close the screens down at the windows for that? And where it was over the main road, which is a considerable, the end of the estate and over. And then when I got back to my own home and started seeing about Manchester, had literally closed lots of schools down in that same sort of way. But not only did they close the school down in that way, they'd also messaged by text the parents to say there's an incident at school, didn't say what the incident was, and pretty much they didn't get any more feedback. Can you imagine receiving that sort of message while you're working and you can't do anything about it? But now what I've gathered is that they're actually wanting, and DL's put in something about they're on the verge of banning machetes. It's not to do with that. What they're doing is trying to just split the family and take the children away from the parents so that they've got overly control over it.
There's that. Yeah.
When I heard it was happening in Manchester and other parts of the country as well, that same sort of happening, this is so wrong. And they are in prison-like schools. They had a new head teacher at the beginning of this year. And I do wonder if the old head teacher who'd been there for decades wouldn't have complied. And that's why she's had to go and they've got this new one in. And this is where we need to really keep, because I said to my granddaughters, well, being told that there's a thunderstorm and that's why you've got to stay inside, and them locking you in the way that they did, that's not actually helpful, is it? But I do have to be careful and mindful of what I say with them and with other people. So you've sort of got Project Fear going on, haven't you, as well? It's I think there's a lot of this going on at the moment. I know there's seems to be a lot of shoplifting and aggressive shoplifting coming out and being ranted about, and the Federation of Shopkeepers is saying, well, you've got to do something. So it's I think there is an element of exacerbating or aggravating or encouraging criminal type behavior so that people call for surveillance, people call for oppression, and so there should be a law and that type of stuff. But the laws affect everybody, not so maybe we just need to hold fire on that. Just like they did when they first brought CCTV out and people didn't want it, and I'm talking years and years and years and years ago, and they started to actually send groups of youths to do fighting so that local people would ask for CCTV. Exactly. So we need to start to realise that we are holding that space with love. And I mean, I would love to get these children out of those schools and homeschooling, and that's where Sussex was such an impact. I think we've got Barry. Yes. Oh, we've got 3 devices now with Barry. I will shut up. I was just filling in that space. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me? I've got this, and it's all echoing. Sorry.
It's because you've got 2 devices on that. So, but anyway, let's stick with it for now because I don't think we can bear to lose you again.
Shall I
turn the Apple off?
Turn this one off.
Yeah, so you just got this one.
Please turn the right one off. Oh, please tell me you're still there.
Is that better?
Oh,
Yeah.
listen to that. Oh, well done, Carrie.
Sorry.
Good persistence.
It's
Go.
technology, isn't it? I'm not good at it. Okay, I've been listening to what everybody's said, and just to pick up firstly on Joanne's point about fear culture, I think, you know, that's I think we all know what's going on, and so it's even more important to not be fearful, obviously. And my husband and I belong to a group, the Assembly of the British Isles, and we do a meditation on Zoom every Monday, which is very powerful, which is peace and harmony for the world. And we also meet on solstices at megalithic sites, and that is also very powerful. So, you know, that's good. I hope it's good to know that there are other, you know, John Gilbert and co. They're doing good work, really good work, which just enhances what one of the aspects that we're doing. And on the political level, I recently contacted my local Labour candidate because he'd put a very massive, extensive leaflet through my door, which I read thoroughly and made notes. And, you know, it all sounds really wonderful, and we covered a lot of points. But when I mentioned the World Economic Forum, he didn't actually know what I was talking about, because I said, well, has your leader signed up to this? And he didn't know. He didn't know what it was. So the point I'm trying to make is that whilst these local candidates are really sincere, I mean, he's a Cornishman, you know, he's all for Cornwall and low-cost housing and all that sort of stuff, you know, and cleaning up the seas and getting rid of all the shit and stuff like that. He doesn't really know what's going on at top level, and this is a problem.
It totally is. Yeah.
And when I tried to talk to him about it, you know, it was like couldn't get through at all.
No.
The third thing is, very briefly, is that I've recently bought a book by Patrick Moore, who used to be Greenpeace founder and I believe chairman. And there's the book, if you can see it. It's called Fake Invisible Catastrophes and Threats of Doom. And it's very scientific. And it goes into, you know, what the seas are not acid, we're not drowning in carbon dioxide, but he gives all the details about, you know, the walruses are not chucking themselves over the cliffs and committing suicide, and it's all, and it's a brilliant book if anybody wants to get hold of it. Not that we don't know this stuff, but it's just I believe it's a really good book to kind of give somebody as for a present, or just leave somewhere, so that people read it and pass it on and go, oh,
fabulous, great ideas.
Yeah,
so, really good.
So that's all I'm saying at the moment after all that.
Yeah, I think the Assembly for British Isles, I haven't heard. I mean, I've heard you talk about it before. I haven't looked into it yet, but I think that might be worth looking in on, if they're into, you know, if they've got the idea of meditations and visualizations and that sort of stuff. They probably,
you can feel,
yeah, they probably know,
feel the power when you're with them. You
right,
can feel it like a circle connecting us. And when we met up, and I think I told you John Gilbert had the rods, they were just divining rods. They were just going in a circle, because he said there was a vortex above us, and it was
right,
like
cool.
You could feel it. You could feel the energy going from one person to another. It was so powerful, and I was just completely bowled over by it. It was amazing. And my husband and I also do regular meditation, and we try to get out to various megalithic sites as well, and we send out stuff, you know, for the world, and we send out healing and things like that. So every little helps.
Oh, completely.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I don't, some of you will have heard of AJ Roberts and his friend Steve Forsyth, Big Steve. So I've hooked up with them recently, and they started off. They came out, they are armed forces, both of them, in 2020 started off by sort of marching into places and closing down vax centres and arresting policemen and for failing in their duty and all that sort of thing. But both of them have up-leveled beyond belief. I mean, I've been doing energy work for a long time now, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, these people are just sort of leapt ahead of wherever I am, and it's just incredible, the up-leveling that's happening all over, I think. So yeah, it's really and like I say, people who may have even been completely asleep, some people are waking up so fast and up-leveling so quickly with that energy. It's really important to keep open to these people who are just actually leapfrogging us, if you like, because these two have definitely leapfrogged me, and it's quite interesting what they're doing now. So yeah, let's keep trying to connect up, join the dots, keep an eye out for people who are coming in and up leveling in big ways. With some people, the way they put it is, yes, it is frustrating that maybe even our own relatives can't see what's going on. But the whole of humanity is awakening. Some of us are going, vroom, wait, and others are having to be taken round the COVID, the climate crisis, and they're having to go round the houses to get to the point where they start waking up. And that's just the way it is. And it's not, no judgment isn't very helpful, a little bit frustrating from our point of view, but just accept that everybody is at their own stage of waking up and really try to help that. So yeah, anything like that is all good stuff. Rachel, and then I think we need to wrap up, don't we, soon?
Yeah, sorry, I am conscious of time.
I'm thrilled to hear what you have to say.
I just wanted to touch on that point that Carrie made, because many years ago at my old home, I had a whole feng shui thing and all of that kind of electromagnetic and the dowsing rods. And in my bedroom, they found a portal, and the rods were spinning. And I'm like, no, you're making those move. That's what my cynical mind was kind of like, no, that can't be right. And they said, hold them and do it yourself and see for yourself. And I'd never done this before. And this was before I was really into energy work or any kind of like shamanic stuff. And I literally just held these and I did exactly the same thing. And these rods just span and you could feel the energy of them spinning. They were spinning clockwise, and it was a portal. And so it's like a bit like energy going around a plug hole or something. So these portals, and that's what's being created when you stand in circle and you chant, and that's what's being created at stone circles. And so when you create that portal and you put an intention into that vortex, it's like takes it across the dimensions. It's just incredibly powerful. And that's why it doesn't actually take many people to create a torus field, especially if you're in a sacred site like that. And the impact of setting intentions into that, like putting a pebble into a lake, it's like, whoa. And so this energy work is supremely powerful. And the powers that be, the Masonic, the mystery school, they know, they've been using these metaphysical techniques for donkey's years, for generations. And that's how they locked down the false matrix. It got corrupted and they've locked it down through these dark forces. They're using these energy techniques against us, but we can use them for benevolent purposes. And that's what they're most scared of, I believe. That's where they're trying to destroy the walk the world thing, because it has the potential to...
I was just interrupting you because you're just coming on to a subject that's covered in the chat. DL said, do evil ones that rule the world come under the category of being in some stage of waking up? And I think the people who are carrying that out, what I would call the useful idiots, the politicians, the doctors, the police officers, I would say, yes, they come under a stage of waking up. But I think Rachel is right that actually there are people who know this stuff who have used it malevolently. And I don't understand how, because when you feel high vibe, how the hell do you want to cause harm to anyone? You just don't. You want to spread the love, in my opinion. It is my experience. So I don't know how they're doing it, but I think there is a group that have used it for malevolent purposes. Sorry,
I just want to say, be really clear when you say the evil ones that rule the world. So Wetiko is like a parasitic lower dimensional energy that works through people who are either highly traumatized or unconscious. And so the people themselves are not necessarily evil. It's evil energy working through them in a parasitic way. So it's almost like they're they've been taken over, like an entity attachment is the easiest way to, being possessed, right? And so the Wetiko is looking for hosts, and most people don't know if they've got an entity attachment or Wetiko working through them. Most people are completely oblivious, you know. So a lot of energy work is about clearing those attachments, and you know, it's a bit like parasites in when you're doing nutrition, to clear the parasites out of your body. So there are people who are susceptible to Wetiko, and so it's lower dimensional evil energy that is working through hosts, and that's what turns people into a psychopath, sociopath. So it's worth reading the book by Paul Levy, Dispelling Wetiko, because it explains, and it is like satanic energy.
Am I right, Rachel, in that it tends to aim for people who have got a high audience, whose ego is a little bit inflated, tends to aim for that, and
highly traumatized people.
And well, that's the second point, isn't it? Are they then? There's also a school of thought that they're traumatizing people deliberately to make them susceptible to, like getting to the kids early and abusing them. So there's a few things going on we probably don't need to get into, but yeah, just be aware, just being aware of this weird stuff.
Joanne wants to speak, and Carrie.
Joanne and Kerry want to speak.
Where'd you get the book that you just mentioned, Rachel? Where'd you get that book? What was it?
It's online. It's Paul Levy, Dispelling Wetiko, Breaking the Curse of Evil. It's very, very brilliant book.
Wetiko, how do you spell that? Just as it sounds.
Wetiko. Wetiko.
Wetiko.
She says, doing her phonetics. Right, Carrie, can I just have you? I haven't heard
very quickly. I just was listening intently to what Rachel said about possession, because very briefly, I used to work at a prison where there are a lot of very negative energies, and I don't want to sort of take up time going into the whole story, but basically one of my colleagues, who was a very, very spiritual but a very low ebb at the time, when we were leaving, we both said, I think there's something watching us. And then suddenly she felt, oh, you're still there?
Yeah, we're here, we can hear you.
Sorry. She felt something like attach itself to her back. And then various things happened. She was away on leave, I was away, and she'd had a terrible time. And so I sought advice, and I was told by this clairvoyant that it was somebody's task to get rid of it, and it was my task. And she told me what to do, and I did it, and she was fine. So for anybody who thinks it's a load of rubbish, it actually, what happened, I mean, in some ways I was seeking to have confirmation that this was not, that this was actually a thing that happened. And so it happened to me, and I can testify that it's very real and it's very scary, but as long as you stand in your light and your authority, then you can dispel these things.
Yeah,
I've seen this sort of thing as well. I've had people, and
I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have been, the circumstances hadn't closed in on me and made me do it for my friend.
Yeah, I've seen people shift entities and then suddenly be able to walk. Yeah. So anyway, Simon. I think your Simon is leading the way here, because I think we all need to go and have some dinner or something, don't we? Anyway, so tasks are basically look for the walking meditation, perhaps look at the Assembly of the British Isles and get into their meditations, and then the physical meeting. Do come with your ideas, or put them on Telegram so that we can discuss them, and we'll try and get a Zoom link out so that we can at least connect up in the afternoon. And then maybe start to look at how we, what message are we going to get out there as we approach this new phase. I do feel like there's a new phase happening. Maybe it is the equinox, but I do think we are now into a phase pre-Christmas to get stuff out there. That's just a feeling that I'm having at the moment, and so perhaps we do that. Me and Rachel and Julie probably need to discuss some paperwork at some point, but that's for another time. Okay, thanks very much, everybody.
Okay.
Lovely to see you all.
Thank you.
Lots of
See you.
love.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.